Okay, welcome everybody to today's talk. Today we're talking about lead attribution. We're going to be looking at essentially how important it is for self-storage operators to be able to measure the attribution of a lead, moving from a ad campaign all the way through the sales cycle, through to their website, moving in online, so booking an actual unit online, and then most importantly, being able to close that loop back into the campaigns to optimize campaigns, and so that you are making the most of your ad spend online, right? Closing the attribution gap is about making sure that we're looking at not just clicks, but also the outcomes. And today we're speaking with Lucy, who is the head of PPC for YBA PPC. And YBA works with many self-storage operators, mainly in the UK. But Lucy, I'll let you kind of go into a little bit about how you're working with self-storage operators and small businesses. We have Aaron Farney, who is the founder of Unwired Logic, who is a consultancy that specifically focuses on self-storage businesses at quite a enterprise scale as well. And so I think it'll be really important to see Aaron's platform perspective. So welcome Lucy and Aaron to the call. Let's kind of jump straight into it. So Lucy, can we start with you to kind of set the scene a little bit? What's your day-to-day life working with self-storage operators around? Presumably it's just the UK, but I imagine you've got some around Europe as well.
Yeah, a bit of a mix. Predominantly UK self-storage clients. We kind of work with around kind of 65 self-storage operators at the moment. So we have quite a lot of learnings from all of the ones that we work on, and we're able to compile those to take better learnings and plug it back into the client accounts so that the outcomes that we see for them are stronger.
Yeah. At a higher level, are you seeing any trends at the moment in the last 2 to 5 years? Are you seeing any different strategies that had to be taken by certain operators?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's been a lot of changes the last few years. I think one is within the wider self-storage industry, but also when it comes to paid advertising, the level of competition has increased massively. So more operators are putting money behind digital marketing, but there's also more competition in the market as well. So more players competing. And what that means is that it is more expensive if you are competing online in terms of the cost per clicks and the budgets needed. So that's kind of one element of it. So I guess using that budget wisely is kind of what we aim to do, so that it's not kind of wasted budget on kind of digital marketing. I think another one is around kind of how Google has changed. So obviously you mentioned AI, they kind of introduced that AI overview section, but that kind of, takes up some of the visibility of that search results page. But there are also kind of changes within the kind of Google Ads platform itself as well, when it comes to things like the type of keyword matching having kind of broadened massively. So, if you're not sure on what strategy you should take, what keywords you should bid on, there is a lot of kind of opportunity for wasted spend because of the way that Google has kind of changed its algorithms when it comes to how it matches those searches. And then also, I guess, with kind of user journey as well, there's been a lot of changes there, a lot of kind of multi-touch journeys rather than just kind of someone going onto Google, clicking straight away through an ad and then converting immediately. There's a lot of kind of research element, a lot of going to various different channels or through different ads before any kind of action is taken. So I guess that's where kind of attribution comes into it as well, because that there needs to be a way of being able to kind of measure the success of those different channels and what's actually driving the performance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I guess to kind of frame the call a little bit for the audience who might be watching this, we'll have small operators, so maybe more smaller operators that have 1 or 2 or 3 sites, but then also we're looking at more enterprise customers that have, multi-sites, multi-platforms, a more complex tech stack, perhaps. Aaron, you probably have more experience with that more enterprise level, say, challenges maybe in that department.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of different environments, but the way that the ads platform works is pretty simple. Somebody clicks on an ad and they end up on your website somewhere. And when they end up on your website from that first hop, you've got all the UTM parameters and everything in the URL. So we have a script that runs on the website. So it either would run on the marketing website if that's where they land, or if they land directly on the booking engine, for example, if you take them directly to the booking page, we'll capture that UTM information. And then we take that third-party cookie and then convert it into a first-party cookie. So that way it can be captured. And then when they either submit the lead, like give contact information, name, email, phone number, or go through the booking journey or abandon the booking journey, we capture that information and then attach it to the lead or the order record, and ultimately pass that back through to Google Ads.
And so actually, Lucy, this is an interesting point, because that passing back to the Google Ads has been what we're talking about here, right? The closing of the gap. There's a challenge there, right? Of being able to automatically or easily kind of close that loop and track that attribution back into optimizing the campaign. What's the struggle there? Why is it so hard to do?
Yeah, I think for some operators, it's just not necessarily kind of thought about, I guess, until you engage with a marketing agency or a kind of measurement agency. You might not even think about that as an element that's needed for your digital ads to run. So I think part of it is that we've also had clients join us who have been running Google Ads for a year or so, and the tracking setup is just not even hitting the baseline of what you would need. So they're looking at things like page views still. They're not really tracking any kind of interactions on the website when it comes to things like form fills or calls from the website. So I think that's the kind of biggest limitation often is just not having those kind of conversations with the partners that they're working with.
So essentially, for those who don't quite haven't got yet the importance of understanding that lead attribution, it's about being able to understand where your leads are coming from, what's working well. It seems up until now, there hasn't been a very native solution in our industry to this lead attribution in terms of other softwares that are not only an operating system for the business, but have a native online booking flow as part of that. I think there's been a challenge up till now to essentially have that visibility. So yeah, Aaron and Chiara, do you want to talk a little bit about this add-on and how it fits into maybe not just the Storeganise ecosystem, but in general, right, for self-storage operators?
So we obviously have a specific version that's meant for Storeganise, which we'll demo in a little bit and show you how it's connected. We also have a version that works on Zendesk, if you use that for a CRM. We're planning on building one that will work for Pipedrive and Respond.io, so a couple of different CRM platforms. But yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, it consists of a script on your marketing website or your booking platform to capture the UTM information. And then all we need is the customer to fill out a form, like a contact us on your marketing website, or start to go through the checkout journey. And then we can attach that information to the move-in record. And then when the customer makes a reservation or signs up or completes the move-in, all of those can be triggered to send back to the Google Ads platform real time. And then at the end of it, when they finish the move-in, we also send the basket size. You can obviously, from your Google Analytics, you can see which ads are being clicked on, but then you can see which ones are becoming leads, which ones are becoming reservations, which ones are becoming move-ins, and actually which ones are giving you how much revenue. So it's great that you get a lead, but if they don't move in for whatever reason, it doesn't do you a lot of good. You need the revenue. So we show that actual basket size. All that goes back into Google Ads. And then Lucy can take all that data and tell you where to spend more money and where to stop spending money.
I think with self-storage, it's quite a unique industry when it comes to that kind of revenue point, because a lot of self-storage operators, as we know, will run offers, like intro offers. A lot of them can be fairly hefty discounts, say 50% off for 12 weeks is fairly standard across the industry. So I think there is always going to be an element of accuracy when it comes to that revenue volume, which needs to be accounted for, because obviously you're not necessarily looking at the full picture if that initial revenue is much lower because of a discount. So as long as there is that kind of like awareness and that's taken into account when kind of pulling that data back through, then yeah, I guess that's the only challenge when it comes to self.
That's a really good point. Yeah. I think the most important thing here as well is that you know that that ad is working, right? You know that whatever wording or whatever channel it was in, it worked, it booked a lead, someone moved in, and then, right, let's feed that back and optimize it. Yeah, cool. Should we have a look at then a little bit more as to kind of how it works in practice? Yeah.
Yeah, I can show you the demo. Let me share my screen.
How are you currently doing it? So is it a manual process that you are attributing these leads to today?
Yeah, well, it's mixed, I would say.
Okay.
I think there's still a big gap, as you've pointed out, with regards to feeding that data back in. We've worked with a few self-storage operators, we've been able to kind of feed back customer data back into the Google Ads platform. So similar to what kind of Aaron has done, but not in such a kind of packaged app form.
Right.
And it does depend quite a lot in terms of what kind of CRM system people are using, what platforms they're using, because some are obviously much more integratable than others. It
Fair
really
point.
differs, I would say. But for the ones that we've kind of managed to get that data from, it does help massively when it comes to kind of the ads.
We see similar things, right? So like it ends up, could be a expensive custom solution that sometimes people will, you build in, and so larger operators can, foot the bill, right? In some cases. Other cases, smaller operators that do want to do it, like they'll extract data in like a CSV and then upload it to the Google Ads platform, or fat finger it into the other platform. So yeah, you get a mix of both. But yeah, with this being integrated directly into the PMS, like for example, if you don't have a CRM, you're not forced into buying a CRM just to get this. Now, if you do have a CRM, there's a little bit more you can do with it, but yeah, you don't lose a lot by not having one.
Nice.
Yeah, so let me jump in. So we built our fake Google Ads platform. So this is showing some sponsored ads. You click on the ad. So this will jump you to your marketing website. So you can see this has got all the, if you look at the URL, it's got all the campaign information in the URL. So this is the marketing website. So the customer would say, okay, yep, I want to get a reserve a large unit. This jumps them over to the booking site. So part of what we have is we transfer this UTM parameters from the marketing website over to the booking site. That way you don't lose anything. Customer continues on with their journey, fills out their name and everything, and then starts the process. So here I'll show you a abandoned booking process. So the customer will go partially through the process. And then if we jump over to the Storeganise side, so we can see the move-in job here. So we'll just show a case where and I'm going to show you some of the parameters. So if we jump to the customer details, so here we can see the ad click ID, we can see some of the conversion tracking, the UTM campaign, the URL. So we capture everything here. So everything you see here will then be sent back to Google Ads. So in this particular case, we'll finish placing the order. It's just send it back to Google Ads, the same information. So for example, we've got the move-in created, the move-in started, the move-in completed, and it'll also send the invoice side. So yeah, and it sends it back real time. So if you look at any Google Ads account, we've got some screenshots from some other ones that we can send through. But yeah, I think losing those quite well. You'll see all the different fields filled out where they should be, and then you can run your reports and figure out where to spend more money.
Yeah. So I guess, Lucy, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's great. I think having a way of simply pushing, or relatively simply, I guess, in the way that it's kind of set up and integrated with Storeganise easily is great, because I think a lot of what puts some people off is the complicated kind of nature of being able to feed that information back. So having, a really simple setup to just be able to kind of do and easily push that information back, I think is great. And like I said, we've seen some really strong results, because essentially once you get that kind of data pushing back into Google Ads and you get the revenue attached, you can also convert the campaigns so that you're not bidding towards like conversion volume, you're bidding towards value. And that makes really kind of a really strong change for storage accounts. And where we have kind of tested that by bidding towards revenue, we've seen some really strong uplifts. So there was one client that we did it for, and they then saw like a 9% stronger conversion rate and like an 81% stronger ROAS. So that investment, obviously, that you're then making into the ads goes a lot further if you're able to kind of optimize towards the actual value of those. So I think it's a really valuable kind of tool to be able to slot in for storage businesses.
Great. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to install. You create a couple custom fields and Storeganise add in, and put the script on your website. Off you go. So it's all things considered, we tried to make the implementation of it as easy as possible.
But Aaron, this would be an add-on in the marketplace that Storeganise was just installed?
It should be in the Storeganise marketplace next week.
Great. And we're recording this on the 12th of June, 2026 for the record. Yeah.
And then, this add-in, so we have one add-in. It covers Google Ads and it covers Meta. That does both.
Okay, nice. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Chiara, Lucy, and Aaron. It's been really great speaking to you today, and I hope to see you on the next call. Cheers. Bye-bye.